Year. Pilots in two different planes, one a Learjet, the other an American Airlines jet, reported seeing a mysterious object over Arizona last month, we have learned. The exchange with air traffic control sounded like something out of the Twilight Zone.
Number 71 Papa Golf, go ahead.
And there was anybody above us that passed us like 30 seconds ago?
Number 71 Papa Golf, negative.
Okay. Something. A UFO. Yeah. It's American 1095. Yeah, something just passed over us. Like don't know what it was, but it's at least 3,000 feet above us. Yeah, it passed right over the top of us.
No one has figured out what it was. Other pilots did say they saw nothing.
Commander David Fravor still can't explain what he says he saw that day. November 2004, the Navy fighter pilot was on a training mission west of San Diego when he was ordered to check out something in the water not far away. On a clear day, over a smooth ocean, he saw the object, waves breaking over it, and says he saw something hovering above it.
It's randomly moving north, south, east, west, just random, just stopping, going the other direction, like you could do with a helicopter, but a little bit more abrupt. It looks like a 40-foot-long tic-tac with no wings.
Fravor says he and his four-man team tracked the object for several minutes until it just disappeared. Tonight, CNN has learned the Pentagon had a secretive program to research UFOs like the one Fravor spotted. The project was called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, run by an official named Luis Elizondo.
I think this is a national security imperative. We have clear things that we do not understand how they work, operating in areas that we can't control.
A defense official tells CNN the program cost at least $22 million over 5 years before it was shut down in 2012. According to the New York Times and Politico, which first reported this story, tens of millions of dollars for the project were pushed through by former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Those publications say a lot of the money for the Pentagon UFO program went to a company called Bigelow Aerospace, run by a longtime friend of Reid's, Robert Bigelow, a big believer in UFOs. Public records show Bigelow contributed about $20,000 to Reid and his political action committee.
That campaign contributor got research contracts from this program. That just is a bad picture. It doesn't look good for anybody. It's hard to imagine that something that came about that way and profited somebody who pushed for the program was a good use of taxpayer money.
A Pentagon spokesman, in fact, told CNN the program was shuttered because there were, quote, other higher priority issues that merited funding.
It's definitely crazy to spend $22 million to research UFOs. Pilots are always going to see things that they can't identify, and we should probably look into them. But to identify them as UFOs, to target UFOs to research, that is not the priority we have as a national security matter right now.
But pilots like Fravor, who says he saw something, see merits in the program.
What if it is real? Because I think it's real because I saw it. And what if there's more of these? And what if we do nothing?
Now, just a short time ago, Senator Reid responded to CNN saying he's, quote, proud of this program and its groundbreaking studies. Speak for themselves, he says. Reid says it's silly and counterproductive to politicize the serious questions raised by the work of the UFO program. The head of that aerospace firm, Robert Bigelow, did not respond to CNN's multiple requests for comment by our deadline. Wolf?
Brian, there's also information that former Senator Reid tried to keep information about this entire program out of public view.
That's right, Wolf. The New York Times says Reid acknowledged to them that he and two other senators, Ted Stevens and Daniel Inouye, both deceased, did not want public debate on the Senate floor over this program. Reid told the Times that the funding for the project was so-called black money, meaning that was secret money for classified programs. They just didn't want it talked about.
NASA just announced it has discovered organic materials, the building blocks of life, all the way on Mars. But that's not the only fascinating space-related news to come out recently. According to a newly leaked Pentagon report, in 2004, a U.S. aircraft carrier was stalked for several days by a UFO that witnesses said resembled a supersonic tic-tac. The object reportedly could hover in midair and make itself invisible. This shocked to confuse the Navy pilots who monitored it. Nick Pope is a journalist and investigated UFO sightings for the British government. He joins us tonight. Nick, why would information like this, I know you've seen this a million times, but why would we need to read about it because it was leaked? Why wouldn't the U.S. government tell us this? Is there some reason?
Well, I think there's always embarrassment about anything in our airspace that performance characteristics exceed anything in our own inventory. And that, by the way, was the conclusion in this Pentagon document. This thing ran rings around our F-18 Super Hornets that tried to chase this thing. It was briefly tracked on radar, but then it seemed to be able to, and this again is a phrase from the document, it's almost like it cloaked itself and became invisible. You'd think this was science fiction if you weren't reading it in Pentagon documents. And we know now, which we didn't know before, that the government took this very seriously, and these things are being seen in our skies, whatever they might be, by pilots tracked on radar, and there's a serious defense and national security issue here.
And just to be clear, we don't believe that any other country possesses the technology to create an aircraft like this, right?
Absolutely correct, yes. One of the things that went into this report was obviously looking to see if this sort of thing was anything in our own inventory and indeed anything that any other nation has. I mean, certainly when I was investigating UFOs for the British government, we knew that some of these things would turn out to be secret prototype aircraft, drones and missiles, but we always knew through our own intelligence sources, you know, who has what, so you can eliminate that.
So what you're really saying is that the U.S. government and the British government have essentially concluded that there's something not from this world that humans did not create that is being tracked on radar and watched by people who watch aircraft for a living. I mean, this is real.
It is real. Now, the government doesn't go so far as to say these things are extraterrestrial, but certainly when I was doing this for the Ministry of Defense, our policy statement said neither do we rule out that possibility. We said that we kept an open mind on this. But of course, you know, these things, when their speeds and maneuvers are in excess of anything that you've got or anything that you're aware other nations have, you are forced almost to think the unthinkable. And absolutely. Part of the problem with this, of course, was just that senior political figures and military chiefs often just said UFOs, and they rolled their eyes, and it was the ridicule factor.
This seems like
we were able to say.
I'm sorry, we're out of time, Nick, but this just seems like a story that we should be covering much more than we do, and I hope you will come back. Thank you.
Thank you, I will do.